You know, it's tough to get upset when I think two of the people I respect the most on the other side of the aisle, one is the chairman and one is the leader of the Senate. But I just want to do some simple math with my friends here because this is effing ridiculous. That we have so much bipartisan space here, that things in this bill that we're both, all of us are invested in, and what's holding us up from getting a farm bill done is a 2-year compromise that we've offered because, sincerely, we all agree this problem should be fixed. You said how much the monthly SNAP payments are for America that affect 45 million people. And again, you are a man of infinite kindness and pragmatism. That amounts to $101 billion on SNAP that we're spending. Now, I know you know this, John, because I'm living in a world where it's so different than when I was an executive because we spend $4.9 billion a day on interest on our debt because of profligate spending. Both sides of the aisle have been the most fiscally irresponsible people to run our country like we're running it now. And we're arguing over an entire program that affects $100 billion and 45 million Americans resolve on it. To my fierce pragmatists at this table, let's think about this for a second. We're looking to get savings out of error rates, not fraud, in a program that's totally $101 billion. At the same time that we have areas of absolute fraud in this country that we don't even touch that affect rich people. The GAO under Donald Trump said that we don't collect from approximately 125,000 to 25,000 Americans. We're not sure, but Donald Trump's GAO said from the richest families, around 125,000 people, we don't collect $695 billion. And you want to talk about fiscal responsibility, that rich people get to grift and fraud, but we're going after a program to try to save a few $billion, and nobody wants to talk about fraud and abuse. The military. I sat with Lindsey Graham, who was telling me the hundreds of billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse in our military. And I'm sitting here watching poor people across America worry about losing pennies because we're talking about fraud and abuse when we don't do it, where the richest Americans are getting over on government in a way that makes no sense. And what did we do in the IRS? We cut the group of people, cut them out, that go after the most complicated tax returns. $695 billion, and we're arguing about a program where we may save $10 to $20 billion. I don't understand that math. And I know the values of my colleagues across the table. Senator Marshall, I would love it if you and I would support a hearing where we bring poor people who lost their SNAP payments because of work requirements, which is something we all agree on. But there are own independent studies that show poor people work unpredictable hours and seasonal work. And under your program, people who are hardworking hustlers lose it. In fact, when you make bureaucracy more onerous for poor people, more paperwork to fill out, they drop off the system. And so I'm sorry, I feel like I'm being lectured on something I agree with, which is we need to improve this program. That's our responsibility. But how can we be concerned about the splinter in the hand of our fiscal well-being here, and we ignore the board of the waste, fraud, and abuse that lets rich people in our country avoid their taxes, corporations avoid their taxes, military contractors built this system, and we don't go after those hundreds of billions of dollars, and we're nickel-and-diming poor people, as we all are seeing in our states. Ask any of your food banks, demand for food go up. So yes, I want to fix the problem, but even more so, Leader Thune, I want to get the bipartisan stuff done, and we're not going to get a farm bill. That's the game here today. All of us knew before we walked in this room, this is going to fall to a partisan vote over SNAP payments. And so it's hard for me to sit here and participate in the kabuki theater of fiscal responsibility when the last 10 years in America, the profligate spending and deficit spending has been gross and offensive. And I see my colleagues on the other side out. Let's do Doge. Let's do this. Nothing has changed. We are spiraling into a deficit and a debt, and where our big idea to solve that problem is to go after the most struggling Americans. That is hypocrisy when there's huge ways to save money out there that nothing is being done about. But of course, that's the rich people. If poor people could afford lobbyists in this country, we wouldn't be doing this. Because if you live with poor people, if your friends are low-income people, and you see the struggles and the added bureaucracy and the Byzantine labyrinths they have to navigate just to buy fresh food, how many people here have to get on 2 buses just to get to a supermarket? How many people here have to fill out oceans of paperwork just to get health care for your children? And now we're adding more paperwork onto their lives? Let's have a hearing with poor people. Let's do something shocking in the Senate and bring low-income people in here and let them tell their stories. This is a kabuki theater. Why do we waste our time with this and continue to see people suffer while rich people, God bless them, get over on this government time and time again, and no one wants to audit them. No one wants to put requirements on them. God bless America.
Mr. Chairman, so if I can, that's this committee's job.